Funding for the Our Town podcast is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota, and the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
Welcome to Our Town podcast, a KSMQ Public Television show. We're excited to have you all joining us today, listening in, and we have an incredible guest. She is part of the Downtown Alliance, Executive Director, Holly Masek. Welcome, Holly.
Thanks very much, Danielle.
We're excited to have you, and so just want to learn a little bit about your background and how you came about to join the Rochester Downtown Alliance. So when did that start?
I moved here almost a year ago. June 17th was my first day of work, right in the middle of Thursday. It was very exciting. And I came here from Boston, where I had most of my career and my undergrad and graduate education. And I was looking to move to Minnesota. I just wanted a change. And I had been doing a lot of informational interviews up in the Twin Cities. And I think 3 different people gave my name to the recruiters recruiting for this position. I just happened to have a background that matched really well. It was a great opportunity, and I heard a lot about what was going on as far as development and the pace of development with Destination Medical Center and Klinik. And I thought, you know what? Let's give this a shot.
So I have family from Boston. That's great. That's awesome. What is the role of the Downtown Alliance in the Rochester community? What have you learned, through this and the role that the Downtown Alliance plays in this?
Well, I would answer that question in 2 ways. One is specifically what kind of organization are we and what does that mean? And the other is kind of what is the spirit of the Downtown Alliance? And so the more technical term is we are a special service district, which in some places is also known as a business improvement district. And that means that we have a geographic area that's designated where property owners pay an additional tax that's based on their property tax value that is funneled into our organization and that we use to deliver additional services over and above what a city would provide to the properties in that district. Our district is 44 blocks. To the north, we have Civic Center Drive. To the south, we have Soldiers Field. To the west is 2nd Avenue Southwest, and to the east is the Zumbro River. So pretty much everyone around Broadway and First Avenue is in our district. And that's a really great public-private partnership model that works in cities all over the country. Now, what is the RDA to Rochester in a more figurative way? I've really been impressed with the spirit of the organization, the staff that we have, the incredible energy of the events that the RDA produces. Thursdays Downtown obviously brings tons of people downtown in the summertime. Love the creativity of the downtown entrepreneurial community, the retailers and restaurateurs. And there's a lot of work taking place in offices that you're not even thinking about when you think about the downtown community. And then, of course, being close to the Mayo Clinic, we have such incredible minds right next door, and they're very involved in our organization as well. So I think the RDA is really kind of helping to work with everyone in the heart and soul of Rochester to kind of develop the heart and soul of Rochester as to what it's going to be in the future. Very lucky. It's a great job, a great team, work in a great community. I've been working from home for the last couple of weeks, and getting downtown a lot more lately has been wonderful. I didn't realize how much I missed it.
I know I am typically downtown. I miss it a lot. I've been working from home for about 6 weeks now. So I definitely feel you there as far as missing it. What were the goals before COVID-19 hit, and how has that changed for downtown Rochester?
This year was going to be a really exciting year for the RDA. We were set to launch what's called a Clean and Safe Ambassador Program on April 1st. And that means that we would be bringing in cleaners, customer service representatives, and soft security presence to downtown. It's a strategy that's used in cities all over the country. We had just completed our contracting process with Block by Block, which is a national vendor. They're the same team that's used in Minneapolis and Duluth. And so that was going to be a big change for downtown Rochester. You were going to start seeing RDA's presence and the care that we have for downtown every day, rather than just on the 31 event days that we have for each year. And that was delayed because of COVID-19. However, we have seen in cities around the country that already had this program in place that the ambassadors have become a really essential part of bringing people back into downtowns safely. They are providing additional cleaning, sanitization, disinfecting services. They are hosing down bus shelters, wiping down tables and chairs, doing whatever it takes to make people feel safe coming downtown again. And so our program has actually been moved to July 1st. It was taking a little time to get the hiring done while the governor had us under stay-at-home orders. So we are accelerating that. We're ready to go now that we can have interviews again. We've got great candidates in mind. We're hoping to have that team out July 1st. And that will also be a big part of making downtown feel really welcome this summer. We are looking at additional plantings. We are looking at different street furniture to bring downtown. We know people want to be outside and they want to feel really safe while they're there. So we're looking forward to being part of that process. We have wonderful partners. Mayo Clinic is obviously being incredibly supportive. The county parks department, city of Rochester, and everybody downtown.
And that leads well into my next question. The Downtown Alliance works with businesses. How have the businesses' business models start to alter? And are you part of that planning and advocacy through that process so that people, when they do go downtown, they feel safe, but then we can get these businesses open so that they can get back up and running?
Absolutely. I'd say that our role has been a really interesting balance between learning very quickly from our stakeholders what they need so we can convey that information to the city or to the county, depending on what it is, and also being almost a think tank for what our cities doing around the country. We're really active participants in the International Downtown Association, which is our professional organization. And so we're constantly looking at what's Seattle doing, what's New York doing, what's Minneapolis doing, and bringing those ideas back to our city so we can show people some of the solutions that other folks have come up with. So we're learning what is needed. For example, more guidance on what does safe reopening look like? What kind of guidelines do you want us all to follow? Or helping people quickly permit outdoor seating so that they can be up and ready by June 1st.
Yeah, I wanted to check real quick with you, Holly, on that. I know there's some concern about some of the, businesses and restaurants not having a space or able to do the outdoor seating. It doesn't seem feasible. What are the solutions for that? Has that been sorted out, or is that still in aggregation mode?
That is, what did they say? We're putting wheels on the bus. I don't know, whatever. There's some metaphor about we're building it as we go. Luckily, there are a lot of precedents in place for being creative with outdoor seating. Rochester hasn't quite had the appetite for some of it before, because some of it requires taking up an extra drive lane or parking spaces, or maybe even letting a restaurant pop up in a park, which feels a little scary the first time you do it. So these are ideas we've brought to the city before. The city maybe wasn't ready. Now they have to be ready. So some of the ideas that we're looking at very actively include the parklet model of extending your sidewalk cafe into adjacent parking spaces, turn lanes, or drive lanes, but of course, making sure there's a safe boundary looking at different types of street closures so people can extend even further, creating pop-up seating areas so that those who are getting takeout have a place to sit downtown, but also making sure that there are cleaning models going along with that. So trash is getting picked up, tables are getting disinfected. We know that's going to be a really important part of making this feel successful and safe. We're also looking at, could we have restaurants pop up in some of the parks and public spaces around town? Beer gardens are very popular in Europe. They're starting to become popular in the United States. Not saying it needs to be drinking focused, but just the idea that maybe we could have more of a restaurant experience in a park. Just, we all have to kind of grow around that, but the cities.
What about inclement weather? Rain and that sort of thing. Obviously, snow at some point. I don't know. I mean, we all don't know how long this is going to last, but.
No, I think that. Well, I mean, snow. What can you do about snow? Winter.
Right. I don't want to eat outside. Unless there's some way to heat myself. I guess you think about it, you're like, oh, well, wear snow pants or whatever. But I mean, realistically, for some restaurants, that's challenging,
Well, yeah, that is challenging. But, in Switzerland, they put heaters outside and they put a blanket on the chair and you eat outside at the ski hill, and it's quite fabulous.
I would try it.
We have social ice in February where people party in their snow pants for 3 days around ice bars. And we've
been there, done that, loved it.
You have done it?
Okay. Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay. Yeah. So Minnesotans are pretty tough.
Yeah.
I guess I am one now too. We're pretty hardy people. So I would say, yes, that's a legitimate concern, but here's hoping that by wintertime, we'll feel like we're in a safe enough place to be dining indoors again. Maybe not as closely together as we used to, at least for the time being. But all of these outdoor seating solutions are going to work well because it's summer. And yes, it will be hard when it rains. People are going to need to work through that. I want to give full accolades to all of the entrepreneurs downtown that have been solving problem after problem after problem. Sometimes we suggest an idea to them and they've already done that 3 days ago. And I am sure that they will figure it out. And our role is to help them in any way they need as we go.
Yeah, it seems like the pivoting and rising to the occasion to a new normal is the common theme.
I would say so. And we're part of a grant program at the beginning of this month called the Keep It Local Grant.
Oh, perfect, because I was going to ask you about that.
Yes. Okay, sure. So I think that really speaks to the pivoting process, that we saw people so quickly adapting their business models. And even while their doors were closed, a lot of people had to really rapidly get retail outlets or dine-in restaurants to have an online presence. And they'd never had that before. They never had to. They had really loyal customers at their brick and mortar locations. So it's kind of born out of that particular issue, but there are lots of other creative things happening. So the Keep It Local grant was funded by the city of Rochester that made emergency funds available, and then Destination Medical Center, which also made funds available. And we distributed up to $2,000 grants to businesses that were making a move that would help their business adapt to COVID in the short term, but also help them grow their business in the long term. And RDA administered that grant. We've got some grant experience from the facade grants and the startup event grants that we do. And it was really great to bring in different evaluators from the nonprofit community and the business community, and to see the creativity of what people are doing.
How many businesses participated, and will there be another round of those?
We had 2 rounds, and there were over 100 businesses that applied for the grants. I can't remember exactly how many got it. It was a little bit over 50. And there will not be another round unless we hear demand for it and we can find the finances for it. That was what was needed in that moment. And now we'll pivot to what's needed in the next moment and the next moment. Yeah.
How has the Downtown Alliance adapted to serve the community during the pandemic? What are some ways that the Downtown Alliance has adapted and supported localized efforts such as the Rochester businesses downtown?
We've made sure that we've become much more of an information hub than we've ever been before. We've just started having quarterly stakeholder meetings, which seemed like a nicely paced avenue to bring short presentations from decision makers who affect downtown to our stakeholders. So we'd have these 4-minute Pechacucha style presentations by, say, the city clerk's office talking about licensing, or the transportation office talking about parking or transit plans. And that was working really well, but we're like, quarterly, that seems good. Right now, we send internal stakeholder emails every other day, I would say. And it's a real race to digest, what has the governor said today at 2:00? How does this relate to our stakeholders? How can we find the most accurate links and make sure we're interpreting this information correctly? How can we present it simply, clearly, bullet points? What does the city have to do with it? Who at the city would they need to contact if they have questions? And then getting that out the door. And that is just not something we did with any sort of regularity before. Maybe we'd send an email like that once a month if we felt like there's some really pressing issue. Now there's a pressing issue every day.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that the truth? Which, Thursdays on first, it's not happening, is it?
Well,
or is it adapted?
Yeah, I cannot. You're going to have to wait an hour. If in an hour, I could have given you a little more information.
Okay.
You can have an addendum to this interview if you like later.
Yeah, we should. So you'll know more, or you'll share more later?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
we're sharing more today.
Oh, you are sharing more today?
Yes.
Oh, excited to hear what the outcome of that, and very curious how that will shake out. Well, okay. Well, what changes have you seen most downtown as far as offering and services, digital initiatives? More people work remotely. It is difficult. I mean, obviously for restaurants to do that, but what are you seeing as far as some innovative efforts downtown?
Cool. Okay. So changes downtown as far as what's happening right now, or what we think the future will be?
Well, right now, or maybe stuff that will carry over in the future.
Sure. Okay. I think right now everybody converted to carry out very quickly, and maybe that's not something they've ever done before, and maybe it's not something they want to continue doing, but I was impressed. And I will say that I think people are discovering that sometimes we don't need all the choices. Sometimes if you just have a really good product like Thai Pop and their fixed menus, for example, or the way that they're doing takeout now, maybe you just have 5 items and you have to book in advance, and there's almost a scarcity to it that makes people demand it even more. I think we'll be seeing a little bit more of that type of model, especially now since the next wave of restaurants is all going to be reservation only for the foreseeable future.
Oh, is it really?
Yep. So
interesting.
Yep. That's part of the governor's orders is you have to reserve if you're going to have an outdoor dining table at any of the restaurants that have outdoor seating. So you're going to have to plan ahead. I don't believe you're allowed to have paper menus either, or you have to throw them away, or you order ahead online. But in a way, this kind of helps the restaurants because they're not really sure how much supply to order, how much food to produce every night. So they know exactly how many people are coming. There's so much uncertainty right now, but if you know exactly how many people are coming, then you know what food you need to prepare, how much of it, how long you're going to be cooking for, done. So I hope that's at least something favorable for them for the moment. And I frankly don't like too much choice when I go to restaurants. I kind of want them to be like, just like it, take this. So that's one option. I do think people will have a little bit more flexibility about working remotely. And that's a good thing. I don't think anyone will ever lose the joy of coming downtown and bumping into people they know or saying hello to their favorite barista at the coffee shop. I don't think that's ever going to go away. There's a lot of debate in the urban planning community about let's just make people move to the suburbs and only want to go through drive-thrus. I don't think so. I think the compulsion to be near other people is strong and real, and it will always return. And that is something that downtown does so well. Think about the feeling of being on a patio in the summertime and the friend that you know or your colleague just passing by and joining you. You can't have that from your car or in your backyard. You need to kind of be together to make that happen.
I think the pandemic has really reminded people of that. I know that, people say, well, what is the first thing you're going to do when the shelter at home is lifted? What are you going to do when things start to open up? And, when I feel it's safe, one of the things I miss is sitting at a restaurant, having meaningful, fun conversations with my friends or my family, and just connecting with another person. And that's going to continue. People want that. And I think that people moving forward are definitely not going to take that for granted. And I think that's a good message for businesses that are out there, whether they provide a service or whether they provide, food or products. People miss them. And, people are interested in helping support them, through the pandemic and beyond. And so I think that's a really good message that you conveyed is that connection. You can't replace that. That's so important. Okay, so as far as the reopening of businesses, is there a plan in place right now for the adaptation of that? I know you alluded to that a little bit, but is there a plan in place for downtown?
For restaurants, retail, offices?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah. All of the above. Whatever information you have that you're able to share, or, if it's still in planning, that's understandable too.
Well, we're all working on it together. I mean, we get kind of tentative guidelines from the governor's office, and then at the local level, we interpret it for the businesses here. And when I say we, it's the city and the county that need to interpret it to decide what's appropriate here within the guise. There may be instances where we want to have a higher level of standards than the state does, because we are the city of health. We have patients here with very compromised immune systems. We want to make sure that everyone feels safe in our community. And so the rhythm of it so far has been that the governor's orders come. We know what they are. We disseminate them to our communities, and then they look to city organizations like ours, like the chambers, to help them interpret. And then they ask for help with the parts that they need help with. One part right now that we're looking at is to create a very clear postable guideline of what businesses are doing, particularly restaurants, but maybe retail as well, as far as we are disinfecting tables this many times a day, requiring our employees to wear masks, a punch list that they can visually check off. And then probably also, here's what we hope that you will do. Wear masks, stand 6 feet away from other customers, respect other people's distance and boundaries, etc. We're looking for very similar types of signage for the public spaces downtown. There's a real appetite for public space right now, more than has ever been out there before in Rochester, I think. Especially in downtown, people want those plazas, they want those pop-up parks. And so just making sure that we're very clear about what we're doing to keep people safe, but also what we expect people to do in those spaces. There are some places in the country right now that are being really creative and prescriptive. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the circles in San Francisco and Golden Gate Park.
I've seen the little water floater things on people's heads.
Oh no. Well,
that's their thing.
People are being creative.
Yeah.
At Golden Gate Park, they have circles spray painted on the ground, 6-foot circles, and then with 6 feet in between them. I don't think
interesting.
That point, but we might actually put in some of the plazas where we have tables, we might put down heat applications on the ground to show this is the space where this table belongs. Please don't move it out of here. It keeps it 6 feet away from this other table. Mm-hmm. There are so many things that we've just kind of creatively had to throw together from our various toolkits and knowledge of things that we've seen around the world. And I dropped this stat on our last quarterly meeting, which was virtual, so everyone could come. And I think my team has attended 120 hours of webinars in the last.
Wow.
Between Minnesota festivals and events, International Downtown Association, the Chamber of Commerce, other chambers of commerce, just whatever organization is doing something interesting, we want to learn from them.
That's really good. And I think it's helpful to have, various resources and ideas so that we can get creative and innovative about offerings in the community. Okay, so downtown, I haven't been there in a while, as you know. Is there still construction?
There's a lot of construction on First Avenue and near Peace Plaza. And
when will the big question I think a lot of our listeners are curious about, do you know when it's going to be done?
No, I don't. I think that you would want to talk to the city about that, but I know they're
hoping deferral.
One of those strange pandemic positive outcomes is that because downtown was so quiet during this last 2-month period, 2 to 3 months, they were able to accelerate the pace of construction.
Oh, that's so nice.
Sooner.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
I love downtown. It'll be nice to have some open streets and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So what are some things that you've learned, and we're going to be wrapping this up soon, but what have you learned about Rochester after being here a year?
Wow, good question. Yeah, when I first came here, for the first 6 months, everyone asked me, what do you think of Rochester? And it's such a hard question to answer. I would say, I think Rochester is, it's got such a reputation for the Mayo Clinic. Nationally, no one else is really paying attention to all the other things that happen here. It's just Rochester's a constant pleasant surprise. How about that? You are always finding things, even though it's a small community, you're always finding things you didn't know about. People who've been really creative, things like Thai Pop and Fat Noodle on 3rd Street, or parks that you suddenly really love, or new sections of trail that you didn't discover before. Yeah, I don't know. What did I discover about Rochester? What have I learned about Rochester? What is the exact question again?
Oh, just what you've learned or what you've discovered. What is something positive and uplifting about Rochester that you found really cool?
Creativity. How about that?
There's a lot of creative people in Rochester. I think I'm constantly amazed and impressed by the creativity of people and their ideas. Rochester is so innovative and some really neat stuff come out of this community too. So I definitely agree with that. All right, you ready for it? The final question.
Okay.
What's your favorite taco? This is important.
Oh, okay. I have not identified my favorite taco here in Rochester. Tried quite a few. I think Lucy's tacos are up there.
Yeah, those are good.
Those are good tacos. Generally, my sister's in San Diego, and when I'm in California, I like a fish taco. But we're inland, so I'm not always trying to eat fish here. I would say, this is so hard.
Well, we can social distance and go get a taco. I've got a few spots in Rochester that are my favorite, and it's a question I love asking people because there's so many variety of taco offerings in the community, and lots of locations that have really good tacos. And you know what? Tacos make people happy. That's the bottom line.
Tacos bring people together.
It does, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Holly, for being on the show. I appreciate you immensely for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
And thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in to Our Town KSMQ Public Television show. I want to thank Annie for her amazing producing skills. She's so incredible, easy to work with, and super fun. If you love the show, leave a review, and you can check us out anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hi there, Our Town. It's Holly Masek, the Executive Director of the Rochester Downtown Alliance again. Promised you an update later today, and here it is. The city announced that large events will be canceled through mid-August, and then we sent a supporting press release right after to let everyone know that Thursdays Downtown is unfortunately canceled this year. And we know this was the responsible decision. We know people are disappointed. It's a major social event. It also brings in a lot of revenue for small businesses, but this is the right thing to do right now. We want everyone to be safe and healthy. And now we can all look towards helping our businesses and our downtown community in other ways. Hope you all have a great weekend. I know this was bad news to end the week, but we're all looking forward to moving forward together.